Fern and the Wishwell Valley. Deep in the heart of a quiet green forest lived a young fox named Fern. She lived beneath the roots of a great oak tree beside a bubbling stream. Every morning she chased butterflies through the wildflowers, and every evening she watched the fireflies dance beneath the stars. The forest was beautiful, but Fern felt lonely. She saw deer walking together in families. The rabbits played games in the clover fields. The birds sang songs to one another high in the trees. Even the frogs by the pond croaked together at sunset, but Fern was always alone. She tried making friends many times. One afternoon she approached a group of squirrels gathering acorns. "Would you like to play?" Fern asked hopefully. The squirrels looked nervous. "You're very fast," one squirrel squeaked. "We think you might chase us." Fern's ears dropped. "Oh, I wouldn't do that." But the squirrels had already scampered away. Another day she offered berries to the rabbits. "You were kind," said a rabbit politely, "but foxes make us a little frightened." Fern slowly walked home with the untouched berries in her paws. That night, she curled beneath her oak tree and whispered to the stars, "I wish I had a real friend." The wind answered softly through the trees, but no one came. Days passed. Then, one golden spring morning, Fern wandered further into the forest than ever before. She crossed the stream, climbed a mossy hill, and entered a sunny meadow filled with hundreds of fluffy white dandelions swaying in the breeze. At the center of the field sat an old tortoise with tiny flowers growing beside his shell. "Well now," he said kindly, "you look like someone carrying a heavy heart." Fern sat beside him quietly. "I don't understand," she admitted. "I try to be friendly, but nobody wants to stay near me. I think it's because I'm a fox." The tortoise nodded slowly. "Sometimes others fear what they do not know," he said. "But kindness has a way of changing hearts." Fern looked down sadly. "I just wish I had one true friend." The tortoise pointed toward the field. "Then perhaps the dandelions will listen." Fern blinked. "The dandelions?" "These are wishing dandelions," the tortoise explained. "But be careful. Wishes do not always arrive the way we expect." Fern picked the fluffiest dandelion she could find. It shimmered silver in the sunlight. She closed her eyes tightly. "I wish for a friend who will never be afraid of me." Then she blew the seeds into the wind. The tiny white seeds floated high into the sky like little stars. For a moment, everything became very still. Then the wind rushed through the meadow with a soft whispering sound. Fern opened her eyes. Nothing happened. "Oh," she murmured quietly. The tortoise only smiled. "Be patient." That evening, rain clouds rolled across the forest. Fern hurried home as thunder rumbled overhead. Rain splashed against the leaves and turned the forest paths muddy and dark. And as she approached her oak tree, she heard something, a tiny cry. "Help!" Fern's ears perked up. Near the swollen stream, a small hedgehog clung to a slippery rock while water rushed around him. Without thinking, Fern leaped forward. "It's okay," she called. The little hedgehog looked terrified. "Please don't eat me!" "I'm here to help," said Fern, and Fern carefully stretched across the water, digging her paws into the muddy ground. The stream splashed against her fur as she reached further and further. Finally, the hedgehog grabbed her paw. Fern pulled with all her strength until both of them tumbled safely onto the grass. The tiny hedgehog trembled from the cold rain. Fern wrapped her fluffy tail around him warmly. "You're safe now," she said softly. The hedgehog looked up in surprise. "You really saved me." "Of course," Fern smiled. "My name is Pip," said the hedgehog quietly. "I'm Fern." For the first time in many months, Fern walked home beside someone else. Over the following days, Pip visited often. They searched for shiny stones beside the stream, listened to owls at night, and played hide and seek among the ferns. Fern laughed more than she ever had before. But one afternoon, while they gathered blackberries, a family of rabbits spotted them. "Be careful!" one rabbit warned Pip. "Foxes can't be trusted!" Pip looked uncertainly at Fern. Fern's heart sank. "I understand," she whispered softly. "You don't have to stay, my friend." But Pip stood tall, despite his tiny size. "She saved my life," he said firmly, "and she has never once been cruel to me." The rabbit stared in surprise. Fern lowered her ears. "Most animals only see my sharp teeth." Pip smiled warmly. "I see the foxes who shares berries, rescues strangers, and listens when others are sad." Word spread slowly through the forest. The birds noticed Fern helping falling hatchlings back into nests after storms, and even the deer saw her guide lost fawns home safely. The squirrels discovered she left nuts near their trees during cold mornings. Little by little, the forest animals stopped hiding when Fern walked by. One evening, the meadow animals gathered together beneath the stars for the Spring Moon Festival. Lantern bugs floated through the air like tiny golden lights. Fern sat quietly at the edge of the meadow, unsure if she truly belonged there. Then Pip appeared beside her. "You're hiding again," he teased gently. "I didn't think anyone would want me here." Pip pointed toward the clearing. The rabbits waved at her. The squirrels made room beside their picnic blanket. Even the shy deer nodded hello. Fern's eyes widened. Slowly, she stepped into the glowing meadow. And for the first time in her life, she did not feel alone. Later that night, Fern and Pip climbed the hill overlooking the forest. The breeze carried floating dandelion seeds through the moonlight. Fern smiled softly. "I thought my wish would magically give me a friend." Pip tilted his head. "Maybe it did." Fern laughed quietly. "No," she said. "The wish only gave me the chance. Friendship came from kindness." The little hedgehog snuggled beside her tail as the stars twinkled above them. And as the dandelion seeds drifted across the sleeping forest, Fern realized something important. True friendship does not come from changing who you are. It comes from showing your true heart to others, one small act of kindness at a time. You have listened to Fern and the Wishwell Valley, narrated by Patrick Lane, and a story of the Panda Pine Stories. Good night.